Okay, so I'm making this video because I am so sick of seeing this question, and someone just posted this on Twitter saying that the answer is A, and they're gonna die on this hill. I'll show that on the screen here, and it's gotten extremely popular, and everyone agrees with him, even though it's completely fucking wrong, uh, pretty obviously, if you know any physics. So, um, basically, there are two conservation laws in physics that matter when it comes to this question. Those being conservation of energy and conservation of momentum. And in addition, there are two frames that matter, being conservation, or being the lab frame and being the reference frame of the portal. Okay? So, before we even get into this question, I want to point out what we know about portal interactions in the actual game. I also want to point out that this entire question doesn't really make sense as to why it exists, even, because a moving portal and a moving cube would act in the exact same way. Like, if you get hit by a 300 mile per hour train, or you run into a train at 300 miles per hour, it's the exact same thing. But anyways, let's just go through this. So I'm gonna start with making a blank thing so I can show you guys a diagram of Chamber 10 from Portal 1. You know, this is the portal where GLaDOS goes, "You appear to understand how a portal affects forward momentum, or to be more precise, how it does not." So you have your blue portal here, and your orange portal here. Forgive my drawing, it's terrible. So, basically, you have a dude. Okay, wait. Let's set up some unit vectors. Let's have this be j hat and this be I hat. Okay. So this dude, this is Chell. Chell is not a dude. I don't know what I'm. Okay. She enters the portal with like some velocity v. Okay. Note that I don't have a vector symbol over this because I'm gonna treat v as just like her speed, right? I don't care about the direction right now. And then obviously the velocity at which she exits is the exact same. So let's look in the frame of the lab first. Let's look at both. At both conservation of energy and conservation of momentum. So, let's look at momentum first. So Chell's initial momentum, P naught, this is going to be some P naught here, and she's going to have some P final here. So P naught is going to be just mv, well, minus mv j hat. Okay? And P final is going to be what's it called? I'm being stupid. This is MV I hat. Great. Okay. I really hope you guys see where this is coming from. Otherwise you should, I don't know, go back to high school or something. But like, this is just conservation of momentum. These are not the same, clearly. They're in different directions. This means that momentum is not conserved. Now let's look at energy. So Chell's initial energy here is going to be obviously her kinetic plus her potential. So we're looking at mechanical energy here. So also let's say that her difference, like the difference between these two heights, right? The height of the orange portal and the height of the 4 portal is like delta H. Why not? So Chell's initial energy. Oh, and let's say that let's just call like the blue portal here. Let's call this potential energy equals 0. Okay, like let's set this as a reference point. So for conservation of energy, you have that her initial energy is going to be her kinetic, which is 1/2 mv squared plus 0. And this is going to be her initial energy. And then her final energy is going to be 1/2 mv squared, because, you know, her speed doesn't change, plus the potential energy from being up here, which is going to be mg delta h. Again, these are not the same. They're not the same. Energy's not conserved. So in the frame of the lab, neither momentum nor energy is conserved. Now let's look at the frame of the portal. So in the frame of the portal, it'll just look like this. You have your blue portal. You'll have your orange portal. These are connected. They look disconnected. They're connected. You still have Chell going in. You only have one direction we care about here. Let's call this I hat. You know, she still has speed v. Now, when it comes to energy, this is going to be kind of weird, but let's just start with momentum. So her initial momentum is going to be... now, again, note these are connected. So while it might have been two directions in the frame of the lab, it's really just one direction, being just, you know, into blue / out of orange, same direction. So her initial momentum is going to be mvi hat, and her final momentum is still going to be mvi hat. So as you can see, momentum is conserved. Now, when it comes to energy, this is kind of weird, because the way I drew this doesn't take into effect the height difference, which will indeed change the, like, there is some delta h here, right? Because they're not in the same height. And this is the one case where being in the lab frame actually does matter and makes more sense, because the lab frame is more aligned with what the Earth frame is, and of course Earth is the reason that Chell is going to have gravitational potential energy in the first place. So this is going to be the same calculation as last time, and energy is just not conserved. Okay? So that's what happens in the game. Now let's go back to our question here and examine both options. So we have this, right? Well, firstly, this cube, conservation of energy, not going to happen. Here, we both have a change in potential energy, and, well, okay, let's start with the lab frame first, right? So when it comes to energy, in the lab frame, we have a change in potential energy here, because of the height difference. So energy is not conserved there. And here we have a immediate increase in kinetic energy. So energy is not conserved here either. Not to mention, I mean, there's a slight height decrease as well. Well, in reality, the height decrease is the same as A. So you both have a change in potential and kinetic. You might wonder, is this going to cancel out? That's arbitrary, because I could just change this platform to wherever I want, which means that my change in potential energy is going to be arbitrary, so I can make it so that it's not conserved, or it does conserve. In general, it won't be conserved. So energy just not conserved. Okay? Now let's get to the real deal, which is momentum. In momentum, this is pretty obvious. In case A, in the lab frame, you start with 0 momentum, you end with 0 momentum. Check. Except we know that that's not supposed to happen. Like, you shouldn't have conservation of momentum in the lab frame. And in the portal frame, you should have it. So let's check the portal frame. Let's have this be r hat. That's a terrible r. R hat. And this be j hat. Again, in the portal frame, r hat is j hat. Right? Like, again, imagine them, like, being connected like we had it before with, like, the one direction. Okay? So, the initial momentum for A is going to be m, again, you know, mass m, speed v, whatever, is going to be mv j hat. And my final momentum is going to be 0. So A is wrong. A is wrong. There you go, okay? Let's check B. In B, in the lab frame, momentum isn't conserved, because you start with 0 and then you end with something. But again, the lab frame doesn't matter. We know that portals don't conserve momentum in the lab frame, they only conserve momentum in the portal frame. Look at the portal frame. Initial momentum, mvj hat. Final momentum, mvr hat. That's a hat. There you go. Check is correct. B is correct. Stop saying A is correct. It's not correct. Learn physics. Physics is a good subject. Go major in physics. Please.